I never imagined I would share this story with the world. Not because it's scandalous or twisted like something out of a movie, but because it's personal. Deeply personal. And yet, maybe that's what makes it worth telling, because the hardest stories to speak out loud are often the ones that change us the most. My name is Rachel, and I'm 40 years old. For the last 2 decades, I've raised my son, Ethan, on my own. He's 22 now, grown, responsible, and thoughtful in ways that make me both proud and a little sad, because I can see how quickly time has slipped away. Our bond was built through years of long nights, shared meals, laughter that filled an empty house, and moments when all we had in this world was each other. And maybe, just maybe, that closeness blurred lines neither of us meant to blur. It was one of those freezing winter nights when the house feels more like ice than shelter. Ethan came home late, exhaustion etched across his face. He dropped his bag on the floor with a dull thud. "You look beat," I said softly, watching him sink into the couch. He gave me a tired half-smile. "I really am." Something in his tone tugged at me. He wasn't just tired from work or school. He looked drained to the core, like the weight of the world was pressing down on him. Without even thinking, I offered, "Go lie down in my room. It's warmer than yours. I'll get you a blanket." He didn't protest. Just nodded, quiet, and followed. I pulled out the old heavy quilt, the same one I used to cover him with when he was a little boy. As I tucked it around him, the years collapsed in on themselves. He looked so young in that moment, but also so grown. I sat down beside him on the edge of the bed, and as he shifted closer, his head nearly brushed against my shoulder. At first, it felt natural. A mother caring for her son. But the longer I sat there, the quieter the house grew, the more aware I became of his presence, his steady breathing, the warmth radiating from him, the way he unconsciously leaned toward me. And that's when the dangerous thought crept in. When was the last time anyone leaned on me like this? Years of loneliness, years of being strong for him, of putting myself last, suddenly it all hit me in that small, silent room. I wasn't thinking of Ethan as my son. I was thinking of myself. My emptiness. My need for comfort I had buried for so long. He stirred then, opening his tired, gentle eyes. "Thanks, Mom." I smiled, brushing my hand through his hair like I had when he was little. "You don't have to thank me. I'll always be here." He nodded, but the silence that followed was heavy. Not wrong. Not uncomfortable. Just, charged with something neither of us knew how to name. And then, the sharp ding of the doorbell shattered it all. I nearly jumped. My heart pounded as I rushed to the door. Standing there in the cold night was Mark, our neighbor. A kind man, older, always reliable. He smiled warmly, holding a toolbox. "Hey, Rachel. Just wanted to check in. It's freezing out here, figured you might need help with that old heater of yours." Relief washed over me. A distraction. I welcomed him in. As he worked, we chatted about small things, snow, groceries, how quickly Christmas was coming. I laughed more than I expected. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ethan standing in the hallway. Watching. His expression unreadable. Was it curiosity? Was it something darker? I couldn't tell. When Mark finally left, the house felt colder, emptier again. Ethan was quiet. Withdrawn. "You okay?" I asked gently. He shrugged. "Yeah. Just tired." Then he disappeared into his room before I could say more. Hours later, as I sat in bed replaying the night, I heard a knock. Ethan stepped inside, hesitating like he wasn't sure he should be there. "Mom," he said slowly, "I'm sorry if I've been acting weird." I shook my head. "You haven't. It's just a strange time for both of us." He sat down beside me, closer than I expected. "It's been just us for so long. Sometimes I don't know how to be my own person." His honesty cracked something inside me. I reached for his hand. "Me too, Ethan. I feel the same." He rested his head against my shoulder like he had as a child, and though nothing happened, the air between us was thick with emotions we couldn't name. Love, loneliness, fear of change, it was all tangled together. And that's when the sound of the front door unlocking froze us both. I wasn't expecting anyone. My heart leapt into my throat. The handle turned, and before I could even rise from the bed, A voice carried down the hall. Rachel? It was my father. My estranged dad, who had left when I was young and rarely ever came by. His sudden arrival was like a storm ripping through a fragile glass house. Ethan shot up from the bed, his face pale, his hand slipping from mine. The spell of the moment shattered instantly. I stumbled out of the room to meet my father in the hallway. He looked older, thinner, but his eyes, sharp as ever, scanned the house like he already knew too much. I thought I'd stop by, he said simply. Didn't think you'd mind. But the way he looked at me, then glanced toward the bedroom where Ethan stood awkwardly, told me everything. He had seen something, maybe not what it really was, but enough to make it seem like more. My throat tightened. It's late, Dad. What are you doing here? He gave me a faint smile, one that didn't reach his eyes. Just wanted to check in. Make sure you're doing okay. Looks like you're not alone. The air thickened. Ethan avoided his gaze. My pulse hammered. Because in that moment, I realized the truth. It didn't matter what had or hadn't happened. Appearances alone were enough to ruin everything. And yet, beneath the fear and the shame, another truth whispered inside me. That my life couldn't revolve around filling my emptiness with Ethan's presence forever. That I had to let him go, before someone else mistook our closeness for something it wasn't. Later that night, when my father was asleep in the guest room and the house was finally quiet again, Ethan sat beside me one last time. We'll figure it out, he whispered. And I believed him. Because love doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means letting go even when it hurts.